The worst contracts currently in the NHL. There is a lot of them, and I actually had trouble choosing just 10 for this video, so for that reason, before we begin, I'd like to give out a couple honorable mentions. Those being Andrew Ladd of the New York Islanders, Frans Nielsen of the Red Wings, Bobby Ryan from the Ottawa Senators, Carl Alsner from the Montreal Canadiens, Kyle Okposo of the Buffalo Sabres, and Louis Eriksson from the Vancouver Canucks. Each one of the players I just mentioned are on some pretty bad contracts, and realistically you could make a case for any of them to be in the top 10, and I'm not going to argue with you if you think that way. Now let's get into the main part of the video. These are in my opinion the 10 worst contracts currently in the NHL in no particular order. Brent Seabrook. On September 26th of 2015, following the Blackhawks' third Stanley Cup win in 5 years, Seabrook was rewarded with a very lucrative contract extension. 8 years, $55 million total, an annual average of $6.875 million per season, and at the time of signing this contract, Brent Seabrook was over the age of 30. It's not like Brent Seabrook didn't deserve the money, it's really just the term on this contract that makes it so bad. Had it been a 3 to 4 year deal, then it would have actually seemed pretty good for the Blackhawks. After signing this new deal, Brent Seabrook went on to put up a career high 14 goals and a career high 49 total points in the 2015-16 season. It's just ever since then we have seen a pretty quick and steady decline in his performance. Fast forward to now, Brent Seabrook is 35 years old and played in just 32 games for the Hawks this season, and he's underwent 2 hip surgeries and a shoulder surgery all in a 5-week span earlier this year. His contract doesn't end until after the 23-24 season. That's 4 more years at just under $7 million per season. If things don't turn around, then very soon this could be regarded as not one of the worst, but the worst contract in the league. Drew Doughty, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, Norris Trophy winner in 2016 as league's best defenseman, he has definitely had a pretty incredible career thus far. But over the past 2 seasons, we have seen a pretty big drop off in Drew Doughty's overall play. The point totals are still there, putting up 45 points in 82 games in the 18-19 season and 35 points this season in 67 games. His overall game, however, is nowhere near what we are used to, and he hasn't really been playing like a top defenseman in the league, and considering the fact that this season was the first year of his 8-year, $88 million contract extension that pays him $11 million per season, that is definitely kind of concerning. We know he's capable of being one of the best defenders in the league, let's just hope he can get back to that, because if he doesn't, then this contract is going to suck for a long time. Justin Abdelkader. This one hurts as a Red Wings fan. Kenny Holland definitely signed some pretty bad contracts over his tenure with the Red Wings, like Stephen Weiss, Frans Nielsen, Jonathan Ericsson, just to name a few. But if you ask me, the Abdelkader contract definitely has to take the cake as the worst. A 7-year, $29.75 million contract, an annual average of $4.25 million per season. Yes, Abdelkader did score 23 goals in the 2014-15 season, but that was pretty much just a result of playing with some pretty talented players, when in reality, Abdelkader is best suited in a bottom 6 role. Pretty much right from the get-go, this contract has been a disaster. Abdelkader only broke the 10-goal mark once since signing this new deal, and this season didn't even score a goal in 49 games, and had just 3 assists. If you do the math, Abdelkader's cost per point this season is $1.42 million, which is hilariously bad, and he's still under contract for the next 3 seasons. Next we have Jeff Skinner, and this is a classic case of a player putting up career high numbers in his contract season. That's exactly what he did last year for Buffalo, breaking the 40 goal mark for the first time in his career and tying a career high in points with 63. He definitely cashed in because of this, signing an 8-year, $72 million contract extension to stay with the Sabres, an annual average of $9 million per season. Even though he was coming off of a 40-goal campaign, everybody knew this was a bit much, and Buffalo would probably regret it in the future, but I don't think anyone saw them regretting it this quickly and to this extent. This season, Jeff Skinner was easily one of the most disappointing players in the league. In 59 games, he scored just 14 goals and put up 23 total points. The one silver lining is the fact that Jeff Skinner is only 28 years old, and he is more than capable of having a bounce-back season, but from here on out, anything less than 35 or 40 goals, people are going to view as disappointing just because of the massive contract that he's on. If Buffalo wants to have any chance of finally getting into the playoffs next season, Jeff Skinner has to be better. Let's hope he can turn it around, and then maybe the contract won't look as bad. Moving on, we have Carey Price of the Montreal Canadiens. This is another one of those contracts where the term really hurts it. Everybody knows he's had an incredible career. I mean, he's one of 7 goaltenders in NHL history to win the Hart Trophy as the league's MVP. And Price is still a good goaltender. He had a decent year with a .909 save percentage and a 27-25-6 record, but it's not exactly like the Montreal Canadiens have some insane team on the ice out there in front of him. He carries a pretty heavy workload whenever he's in net for the Habs. It's just the fact that he's already 32 years old and still has 6 years remaining of his 8-year, $84 million contract that pays him $10.5 million per season. Let's just hope Carey Price ages really well and continues to be a very high quality goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens for many more years, because if he doesn't, then this contract could become a really big problem for them. Marc Vlasic. He's never really been a star defenseman or a huge name, but overall has been very solid for the Sharks for a very long time, and was even part of Team Canada's gold medal winning team in the 2014 Sochi Olympics. That being said, he is kind of being paid like a star defenseman. Still 6 years left on his 8-year, $56 million contract with the Sharks that pays him $7 million per season. And right now, Vlasic is 33 years old and just had probably one of the worst seasons of his NHL career so far, which is definitely a pretty big red flag considering how much time he still has left on this contract and how much money the Sharks still owe him. If he continues to perform like he did this season throughout the remainder of the deal, then this is definitely up there for one of the worst contracts in the league. Since we're on the topic of Sharks defensemen, let's talk about Erik Karlsson and his contract. I went back and forth whether I wanted to put him in the video or not. I love Erik Karlsson, he's one of my favorite players in the league, but I feel like if I had a contract like Drew Doughty's in this video, then I have to include Erik Karlsson as well. We all know he is one of the greatest defensemen of our generation, a 2-time Norris Trophy winner, over 600 career points in 736 games. I mean, his playoff run with the Senators in 2017 was insane to watch, but it's no secret that the past couple of seasons really haven't been the greatest for Karlsson, and when you consider the fact that he's just 1 year into a 8-year, $92 million contract that pays him $11.5 million per season, that is the 4th highest cap hit in the entire league, and when you're paying somebody that much, you expect them to be a legit superstar and one of the best players in the game. So far in San Jose, Karlsson hasn't exactly been that. Me being a fan of him though, I'm really hoping we see 2017 playoff version of Erik Karlsson show up in San Jose, because that is one of the best players in the world. Milan Lucic. I'm not even going to try to beat a dead horse here. Everybody knows Lucic has one of the worst contracts in the National Hockey League. I was, however, kind of debating which was worse, him or Louis Eriksson, and as you could tell, I went with Lucic because Eriksson was just an honorable mention. I'll be honest, back when Lucic signed this deal with the Oilers, I didn't really necessarily blame Edmonton. Lucic seemed like he would be a perfect fit alongside Connor McDavid. Even when McDavid was younger, he said Lucic would be one of his dream line mates, and I mean, he was one of the best power forwards in the league throughout his time with the Boston Bruins, and his first season in Edmonton was actually pretty solid, scoring 23 goals and putting up 50 points, but everything after that was just a complete disaster. He hasn't really shown many signs that he could turn it around either, but at least he still brings a physical presence to the lineup for the Calgary Flames, who kinda need it. No matter how he plays though, at least Lucic knows he's gonna be getting $6 million a year over the next 3 seasons. Next up, we have PK Subban. This is a pretty obvious one, as over the past couple of seasons we have seen a pretty big drop off in production and performance from Subban. He's nowhere near the player he was back when he originally signed this 8-year, $72 million contract as a member of the Montreal Canadiens. At least Subban was able to sustain a high level of play throughout the majority of the contract, as he had some fantastic seasons with the Nashville Predators. The good thing about Subban's contract compared to some of the others we talked about in this video is the fact that he does only have 2 seasons left at $9 million per year, and then he'll be off the books for the Devils and headed to unrestricted free agency. He is only 31, and I definitely think he can bounce back and still be a quality defenseman. I really hope he does, because he is one of the most likable guys in the league. And finally, Sergei Bobrovsky of the Florida Panthers. He's somebody I talked about a good amount on the channel this year. I had such high hopes and expectations for him him and the Panthers heading into the season, and it was extremely underwhelming. And along with Jeff Skinner, I would say Bobrovsky is one of the more disappointing players from the 2019-20 season, finishing with a 23-19-6 record, a .900 save percentage, and a 3.23 goals against average. Definitely not really the best first impression, considering the Panthers signed him to a 7-year, $70 million contract. This is a guy that won the Vezina Trophy in both 2013 and in 2017. He's been one of the best goalies in the league for a decade now, and after cashing in as big as he did, he's gotta be better for the Panthers. I talked about it in a recent video I made, but I think he's one of the players under the most pressure heading into these Stanley Cup playoffs. That is going to do it for this video on the 10 worst contracts currently in the NHL. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts, so make sure to let me know down in the comment section. Who do you think has the worst contract in the NHL right now? And I hope you guys are excited to watch some hockey today. I know I am. Even though they're only exhibition games, it is hockey nonetheless, and in no time we're going to be watching some meaningful playoff games, which is really exciting. So if you did enjoy today's video, please make sure to go down there and drop a like on it. That is the best way to show your support. And as always, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, then be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all in the next video.